Welcome to Uptown Voices. From Harlem to the Heights to the northern tip of Inwood, we're here to celebrate our people and together seek solutions for the difficult issues we're all confronting as neighbors. Regardless of what hood you represent, we share the same goal, creating the best community we can, somewhere to enjoy, where we can build our lives and raise our children. We want to thank 181 Cabrini, located on the corner of 181st Street and Cabrini Boulevard, for its generous support for this podcast. It's your neighborhood bistro just steps away from the North Walk of the GWB. Stay tuned for a discount code that you can mention to your bartender or server the next time you visit the restaurant.
What up, everyone? It's Led Black and my brother Octavio Blanco for another edition of the Uptown Voices podcast and another special Black and Blanco podcast. Yo, Octavio, what's up, brother? How you doing? It's a big day. You know what I'm saying? The day after.
Yeah.
We're filming this November 5th, 2025. The day after the historic Mamdani victory. I don't think there's been a turnout.
Historic indeed.
Yeah, I think it's with 2 million plus people came out to vote. Early voting records broken. We're going back 50 plus years. And I don't think I've seen this. I don't think we've seen this kind of excitement in a long time. Like I said this before.
So many positive things. So many positive things. Go on.
Yeah, no,
keep it rolling.
Yeah, no, I mean, just it's amazing that we've elected, a Muslim socialist, right? That's not afraid to say that he's those things. That again, and when I realized with that speech that he gave yesterday, I think he's chomping at the bit in terms of like Obama. Like I think he might be a better speaker than Obama. Like I think there was. It was forceful. Yesterday's speech, I like how he went at Cuomo, right? Like said, whatever, I wish you the best in your personal life, right? But I don't want to have to say your name again. And I think that speaks to the shame that Cuomo brought on himself by the way his comportment at the end of the thing. But also, it was such a beautiful speech. He also went at Trump, where he says, these four words, turn up the volume, and then say, hey, we're a city of immigrants, made by immigrants, and now we led by an immigrant, like drops the mic, you know what I mean?
Guess what? We're New Yorkers, so we're loud.
Yeah, and the thing is that they have nothing but trolling, right? Like they have the power of the state, but it's like, it's bothered them so, they're so triggered by this, and it's weird because, on social, I do see it. People are so mad. It's like, why are you so mad? Why are you so mad? You know what I mean? Like, and also, I don't take advice from people that are Trump supporters. The people they're like, he's gonna destroy the city. I'm like, have you seen what your guys has done to the country?
Yeah,
out of here. Out of here.
Have you been paying attention to prices at the grocery store? They're definitely not going down.
Not going down. And it's funny. I saw a clip. Everything is more expensive. Like everything.
Everything. Chocolate, milk, beef, eggs. I mean, even eggs came down a little bit, but they're still expensive as hell. That's the thing about inflation, is that inflation and prices are two different things. So inflation pushes the prices up, but the prices don't come back down once they've gone up. That's inflation. If you want prices to come down, that's something else. And if prices do come down, which we all would like that to happen, like if that happens naturally because of the economy, that's dangerous. So it's one thing to say supplement our purchasing power so that we can afford the more expensive stuff. It's a whole different thing to like bring prices down. It's a sickening thing, but in economics, it's deflation. Deflation can be just as dangerous as inflation. Nobody wants to hear about this. I know you're probably going to flame me in the comments about this because prices are too far up, but it's just we don't want them to go higher. And we need help. A lot of us need help.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too. That but it's this crazy person at the helm of the whole thing, right? Like, and that's the beauty of it, though. That what yesterday represents, right? What was a moment of hope. That it is possible to create an alternative to what's happening federally. I do think that, I think within the MAGA movement itself, fissures are beginning to form. I think people are jockeying for a position. That's what the whole J.D. Vance, Erica Kirk thing was about. That everyone was talking about, where they basically get a room, guys. Like, they basically, like, you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Fingers in the hair. Like, if my wife saw some woman
Yeah,
grab me by the hair,
gosh.
she would kill me. Like, what the hell was that? And then
Yeah,
he put his hand on the
I
waist.
would be in trouble.
That would be crazy. Like, that's not
Yes,
acceptable. You know
it
what I'm
was
saying? Like, that's
It was a
wild.
very sexy. It was a very sexy moment.
And then he insulted his wife
But
about her
I don't
Hinduism.
I don't want to walk. I don't want to stop talking about the positives, though,
For sure,
Led.
for sure.
I want to stay with the positives. I don't want to go to the negatives.
But let's talk about the
Yeah,
positives. Yeah.
that guy.
No, but yeah.
Let's talk about the fact that we had record. I'm not talking about like recent record. I'm talking about record ever
Yeah.
turnout
Yeah.
at the polls. You know, mayoral elections generally are like snooze fest.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, you know, especially in New York, it's usually kind of like, okay, yeah, I voted. Not this time.
Not this time.
This was a record turnout. I mean, I am so encouraged by that.
Yeah,
that
me too.
to me was such a beautiful thing.
And you know, it's funny you say that, right?
I just love that.
It's funny you say that because, like, a lot of times on the Uptown Collective page, right? I've been so hard for Zohran for so long that I get a lot of hate. You know, I get constant hate. And then sometimes you see that you think the hate is bigger than it is, right? But first of all, a lot of the talk, they don't even vote. First of all, right? But what's interesting is, and my wife shared with me, there was the New York Times kind of broke down like by neighborhood, you know, the voting. So Uptown, all of Uptown,
that was a great map.
Harlem, Wash Heights, Inwood, Dyckman City, the whole Uptown was for Zohran. It was all blue. There was no little, like, if you go to the rich places,
one little.
they don't even count. It's like a little dot that don't count. But if you look at all over, like more than if you look at, you saw where the big concentrations were: Upper West Side, Upper East Side, Phi Di, right? You saw where Cuomo got more votes. But it's Mamdani country. It was all blue because it was in the New York Times. It was blue. It had Cuomo as orange. It was just little small things, like, and I'm very happy about that. So Uptown is Zohran country, you know what I'm saying? And those few
Absolutely.
haters.
Uptown was Zohran country. The only little blip was like all the way east, you know, above 181st. Those little neighborhoods. I guess that's yeshiva. I don't know.
No, yeah, I never thought about that. That's true too. But again, it was insignificant compared to everything else, right? It wasn't like big pockets when you look at the map. So like, I'm really overall happy with that turnout. You know, I think there's an awakening happening, and again, it feels good for New York to be like what we're supposed to be, right? Like, it's New York City. Like, this is New York City, right? This is our and I think this represents, we're taking it back. Yeah, for real.
Taking it back. I wonder, like, when was New York City a people's city? Do you have any like thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I don't
like,
think. Listen, I don't think it's ever been a people's city in a sense, right? But what I'm saying, there's always been that there's so for example, for the last 50 years, we've been engaging in this city for the rich. Right. So in terms, right, there's never really been a time, you know, it was always just poor people just getting by in New York City. Right. But I feel like now we're in a place we could do more than that. Like, we are the backbone of the city. And another thing that I love is so beautiful about this is the new Americans coming on board. Right. Like, and that's what I love about it, to see like my South Asian brothers and sisters, right, doing their thing, believing in democracy, right, coming from places they may not have that, so they cherish it even more, and then putting the hard work in. Like, Zohran had like almost 100,000 canvassers, if not over 100,000, right? Like, that's 100,000 people that are gonna go knock on. They're gonna not only vote, but they're gonna knock in that enthusiasm. That's infectious. And again, it was beautiful to see like the hijab women just there. You know, I'm here to represent my democracy. Like, that's beautiful, and I'm happy it's happening. The one thing, and I hate to go negative, one thing I'm very disturbed by is by the Islamophobia of other Latinos. Right, I'm really just kind of disgusted by that. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm always having these conversations online, and I want to probe, because I want to understand. And I keep hearing about like the that some Latinos talk about Muslims is the that they're saying about us, right? Or they used to say about us, they still say about us. So it's like, it's so weird that you can have solidarity with someone else from another marginalized community, right? That really bothers me. And like, I've seen someone put on, hey, if you're Dominican, you know, you're Christian, you can't vote for Mamdani. Like, what? I saw another person today said, by the way, I can't believe people forgot 9/11 and you do this. Like, so there's somehow some correlation between 9/11 and this, how he was like 10 when that happened. Like, you know, what are we talking about? Like, and again, but it's insulting, right? It's really up as a person of color saying that about another person of color. Like, that's one thing that it just really drives me crazy. Like, Latinos need to better understand race in this country, because I think that's one of the reasons we are what happened with the support of the tyrant. I thought we fell for the okie doke, and we did not understand race.
I can't agree with you more that as Latinos, it's sad that we do this. But at the same time, that I think that the fact that we're surprised by it, you know, it kind of speaks to like a blindness that maybe we had going into it, that maybe that we felt like we were above it. But you know, Latinos, just like everybody else, is human, and we are indoctrinated with racist ideas, and sometimes we don't even recognize it. And I think that because, you know, we're brown, and maybe some of us are darker brown, some of us are lighter brown, but even the darker brown people, sometimes they don't consider themselves a certain, you know, they don't see themselves as black, or you know, or they seek that white affirmation, and I think that's dangerous. We should be seeking, you know, equality for all of us, not to be affirmed by anybody. But one of the things that I kind of believe why this happens is that we're a marginalized people, or at least we've felt that way for a long time, and we place some others in a different social strata. So like whites are the powerful people, so I think there's a certain segment in our society that like reaches for that, and black people are on a lower strata in the society, and I think that some people, they just can't sort of like disengage from that way of thinking and be like, look, you know, we are all one and we're all
But I mean,
neighbors.
but it's not. I mean, I don't. But it's not. I mean, I hate to say, but that we all one. That should sound hunky dory. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Latinos don't understand race in this country, right? Because we didn't have the struggles of black people in the same way. Black Americans opened so many doors for everybody else. They created a lane for other people to live here. We didn't have to go through those struggles in the same way, or not in mass. Right. So what I'm saying, so we don't understand race. We don't play funny with it. Right. Instead of looking a square in the face. And that's what I'm saying. That's the difference between the African American voter and the Latino voter. The African American voter understands race in a way. He knows race and history in this country. Like we came at a point in this country where we just kind of got at the back end. We didn't have to see the struggle. I mean, some of us did, of course, right? Not saying all of us, but I'm saying as a group, you know, a lot of us weren't here for the civil rights struggles, right? So we don't understand how important that was and why you had to struggle in the first place. Why a bunch of people we don't understand white supremacy in the same way, right? Like, and we come with these that's what that book, Paola Ramos' book, The Factors, talk about, because we come with our own preconceived notions of race and hierarchy, and then we don't understand this here, right? So it's like, I think it's a fundamental misunderstanding of race, that we don't know where our bread is buttered, right? And some of us think that, you know, like that we kissing up to white people is the way, but it's not. You know what I'm saying? Some of us will give up every little fragment of themselves to acclimate, and it's not going to work either. Like, and I think that we need to know that race is fundamental in America, and if maybe in our countries it's not, maybe there's beauty in the way our not that our like Dominican Republic is perfect, where there's colorism, of course. I would never say there isn't, but there's a brotherhood between Dominicans of all colors that doesn't exist here. But again, that doesn't mean that we're here now. So we need to take race. We need to look at the African American struggle and learn from that, and show love to our African American brothers, right? Because they paved the way for us to have rights. And I think sometimes when you just get some of those rights without having to really go through that struggle, I don't think you appreciate it as much. And I think we're facing the ramifications of that right now.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is interesting, because in the United States, race as a construct is stratified and it's ingrained in our society. Whereas some of the countries where we come from, race is a little bit more fluid, even in our own
fluid
families.
Like
Because even in our own families, like we have people who are black and people who are white, and we're all the same family, because the history of how, things evolved culturally in Latin America and in the Caribbean, especially. But in Latin America, with like the mestizaje of indigenous people and white people, where everybody kind of, I mean, there is definitely colorism. I'm not going to deny that either.
Of course.
But it's much more common that in our own families we have people of all colors. Whereas in the United States, race was a legal definition, and it was illegal to be black in certain places, and it was illegal for whites to marry blacks, and
Right.
it was illegal for all these things to happen. So yes, you're right that I think that we forget sometimes. I guess not that we forget, but we just aren't educated, like you say, in how serious the racial construct and stratification in this country actually continues to be. Even though we want to be I want to be hunky dory. I want to, I want to make sure that like everybody's getting along. But the fact of the matter is that in too much of America, that history has not been adequately taught and is actually currently being untaught,
Right.
So
Right.
I take your point really, really, really well, because you're right. Like our recent immigrants come here and they're like, oh, they've heard that America is the land of the free and that everybody's equal and that everybody has opportunity. But that's not the case. If they're here and if they have opportunity, it's because of people that were here before them.
Exactly.
And African Americans are I would say, are our foundation. I agree. Like there's got to be more love between these two communities, and that's why I think what we're doing here, and I want to continue to like make inroads in Harlem and West Harlem and East Harlem. I want to make sure that we're getting those communities represented and that we have those conversations as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. I guess that's what I'm saying. That's why that fundamental misreading of the white, like it's funny, like people say, like Latinos say, "Oh, Trump is not racist," huh? What more proof do you need, right? And I have an ongoing argument with someone, right? And I'm not gonna name him because that's not right, but he'll leave me like long messages, right? Like long voice notes, right? And he'll say things like, "Oh, we just need a businessman in New York." That's why Bloomberg was a good mayor. Like Bloomberg was a good mayor. That guy that gave himself a third term, that guy was a good mayor, right? And he'll reference Dinesh D'Souza. Do you know Dinesh D'Souza is a horrible person? You know what I'm saying? And what I'm saying is, so it's because you don't understand race. We've empowered the worst, right? Like right now, you have racism levels that are going back. Like we're hurtling back into the past. I don't know if you've seen. There's a girl, I forgot her name. My daughter told me her name. So this young white girl influencer, like she's trying to be like the female Nick Fuentes, and she did a whole podcast, like an hour and change, in blackface. And she's saying the N-word with the hard ER, just being straight racist, all in blackface, just all in blackface, like it's cute, right? And again, so because Latinos didn't, a lot of Latinos, not all, of course, because a lot of Latinos don't understand. Even what I'm saying is even our own history, right? Like what people don't realize that, like in the Southwest, Mexicans went through their own version of Jim Crow. Right, you were lynching Mexicans. You were, when you were coming and bring them here, they were delousing them. With like chemicals that you use in chemical warfare. Right, you know what I mean?
Not just Mexicans from Mexico, but Mexican Americans who'd been in that part of the country for hundreds of years before any English speakers came. I actually, I have, my family is from the border, right? I don't know if you know this, but my family is from Chihuahua, but it's also from New Mexico, and it's also from like El Paso. So those are all like sort of next to each other. And my grandmother, she was born in New Mexico, and she lived and married my grandfather. He worked in the copper mines in New Mexico, and the copper mines were basically like slavery, because it was you only got paid enough to get by, but then everything that you needed to buy to like feed yourself and clothe yourself all that was like just at the company store, right? And so
Yeah.
basically
Same
it
thing.
was it
Yeah.
was yeah. And so what ended up happening was to my family was that there was a uprising of the workers and the copper mines, who were ironically probably owned by New York financiers, were like, oh, no, this isn't going to work. All y'all are going back to Mexico. But there was no back to Mexico. Like, most of them were born and raised in New Mexico. But regardless, anybody who had a Spanish surname, including my grandfather and my grandmother, got loaded up into cattle cars and were sent to Mexico, where they ended up, living for the rest of their short lives, because they both died in a fire when my dad was a year old and my uncle was 2 years old.
Oh my God.
So what's funny or interesting about that is that my dad grew up his whole life. He didn't know that his mom and dad were, or his mom specifically, because she's the one who we actually had a birth certificate on. We didn't know that she was born in New Mexico and that she was actually an American his whole life, until he married, but later in life he met my mom. My mom's American. She's a white Jewish lady from Maryland. They met in college. They got married. Later on we came to the United States, and one of his cousins had the birth certificate of his mother, my grandmother, who I obviously never met because she died when he was a year old. And she was like, "Do you know that even though you're naturalized American citizen because you married an American woman, you're actually American by birth because your mother is American, and we have the birth certificate."
That's amazing.
So he decided, you know what? There is a difference between being naturalized and being given birthright. And so with his mother's birth certificate, he went to the Immigration and Naturalization Office and he claimed his birthright citizenship.
Nice.
And they gave it to him, which, as we see now, birthright versus naturalized, those two are very different, because there is a realm of possibility where the administration could say, "Oh, we're going to review your naturalized status," but there's no review of your birthright. If you were born here, you're born here. So anyway, that's an interesting historical story about what you were talking about. How these issues that we're seeing, a lot of folks who are not from the United States, they don't quite grasp the severity of the racism or the race issue, because in our countries, yes, there was, colorism and all that, but they grew up in a different society where, frankly, oftentimes race or color, it mattered less than family. and
hmm
and and so yeah,
Yeah,
it's really,
what I'm saying is that, like, again, it's also putting blinders on, right? It's not looking
yeah,
at, like, for example, when Usha Vance, JD Vance's wife, right? Like, he's distancing himself because in that community, in the white nationalist Christian community, his wife is looked down upon, right? She's a
yeah,
foreigner, right? Like, this is the kind of hate that the right is espousing, and it's like some Latinos like, oh, I don't see it. He's not racist. It's not race. You know what I mean? And it's just so ridiculous. And now we're paying the price. You know what I mean? And I just think that, like, going forward, there has to be like, again, I say this all the time. Like, we can't no more pussyfoot around it. Like, you this what was done to us was done to us, and it was our own community. Like, and we have to talk about it. We have to discuss it. We have to point out the fallacy. Continue to point out the fallacy.
yeah.
And all the people that talk about Mamdani now, I'm like, I don't really want to hear y'all. Like, first of all, I don't want to hear you. Y'all voted for Trump, and you're still supporting Trump. So
And
this thing that we're doing here in New York City got nothing to do with you. Don't be a part of it if you don't want to. Leave. Bye.
yeah. And there's also like misunderstandings about what socialism is all about, and democratic socialism in particular, because I think a lot of people might have fled from what they consider to be socialist countries, but they were actually dictatorships, right? Like Cuba was not a democracy. That was a dictatorship. Yeah, they gave you free healthcare and all that, but it was a dictatorship. Venezuela is also, you know, not a democracy. It's a dictatorship. So, people hear socialism and they think dictatorship. And so they elect a person who's actually a dictator and has no interest in giving anybody any help except for the people who kowtow to his policies. So I'm really excited to see somebody like Zohran Mamdani, who can maybe clarify through his actions and educate people through his policies what social democracy looks like in America and how people might benefit. And I'm really, really hopeful for all of that. I'm really excited. I stayed up, I think, till like 2:00 in the morning, like watching coverage and watching the speech and then rewatching the speech and hearing him say the word us over and over again, never me, always us. And I think that's what's super important, that we recognize that it's about us. It's not really about Mamdani per se. Like, look, I think that I don't want to be negative at all. I have high hopes for him, but I will be watching, right, that he does what he says he's going to be doing, because I don't want to have another Obama kind of like situation where we're so enamored that we kind of like, I don't know if we all took our eyes off the ball, or if it was like, oh yeah, he's gonna handle that. He's a smart guy. He's gonna handle that.
I mean, listen, I think
no.
that's very it's almost a very charitable look at Obama, right? And I'll say this, right? Before Obama came on the political scene, I did not believe America was redeemable. I came of age as a kid, right? I found Malcolm as a high school student, right? So I've been an acolyte of Malcolm my whole life, right? So I saw America as this just is just this oppression machine, right? That just took black and brown people and just, fed us into the meat grinder. And I didn't believe it had any redeeming, that you couldn't be redeemed. And Barack made me change that belief, right? Like, his belief in the ability to have a first black president made me believe, right? And I really love Barack and I love that family. You know what I mean? Like, it was really like, they made me believe, like, my wife was going through cancer treatment at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it was this whole emotional thing that I really believe. I went to the inaugurations in DC, right? But when you look back at Obama, right, it wasn't just that we were enamored. We all were, right? Is that he used that to get himself elected, and then would tap it down, and not use it to get to push his agenda through, right? Well, and also when the 2008, financial, he brought all the people that caused the problem, they got a bailout, right? And not only they got a bailout, they got to design it, but the regular person got screwed, right? So what I'm saying is
but can I just I don't want to. I just need to just say something about the bailout. And you're right. It's a travesty that there was nobody from the banking community that ever paid a price, like going to prison over the lies and the crimes that they committed to, basically sell people mortgages that they couldn't afford, etc. But I will say that I remember '08 very vividly, and I remember the fear. It was up until the vote of the bailout. I was terrified that we were going to have to go, that I was going to have to leave my work. I was at CNN at the time covering this, and it was terrifying to hear that the whole system was going to grind to a halt, and that like your money was going to be like,
but I mean,
gone.
I'm not taking that. You're right. You're 100% right. But it's who he chose to save, right?
Yeah,
who he chose to put in
yes.
charge of it, right? So what I'm saying is, yes, there were dire situations, yes, but you pick winners and you pick losers, right? And again, what Obama was very good at is getting us hype for the victory, and then just saying, okay, I got this from now, and it's also our fault for not following along, right? But I said this in another podcast before, that Mamdani is who we thought Barack Obama was, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? He really is the socialist, right? He really is.
I hope.
He really is from, you know, being like, he really was born in Africa, right? You know what I mean? But the thing is that, like, that what I think with Mamdani is not we're gonna be there together. Like FDR said, make me do those things. Like he's activated another force, so it's a movement together, right? Like, you know what I mean? And we gotta move that way. Like, and again, it's just hard work. But like, I'll give you an example. I don't know if I said this before, but at the rally in Queens, that 13,000 people came out for, right? Kathy Hochul came out, right? And the crowd let her know, like, hey, you know, tax the rich, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that, like, this is different. And I think that Mamdani is different. And I think that, you know, it's the beautiful thing to have someone to actually aspire to that's very positive, right? Like, I think this is a new day for New York. And I do think that this is the most important city in the world. And that we could be like, we could lead. Like, there's people, listen, like, I saw a thing where people want to vote. Like, people saw Zohran, they thought they could vote for Zohran anywhere. People really wanted to vote for Zohran. Like, Zohran made
people in California wanted.
I saw someone put on social, they were like, it was the night before the election. They're like, oh, I can't sleep. And I've never even been to New York, right? Like, they want Zohran to win so bad. Zohran is a victory for all of us. So, again, sometimes the left, of course, the left, we do too much of on our own, right? Like, oh, let's rock out, let's work, let's do this. We all have to do this. We're all New Yorkers. Let's change it, and let's show the whole world, right? What it looks like. Let's do it together, and let's not stop always, like, I think sometimes we hurt. And then also, back to Barack, back to those people, right? We also need to finish things, right? We need a purge. And I hate to say that so bluntly, but like Chuck Schumer never endorsed. Barack Obama never endorsed. Barack Obama never endorsed, right?
Never said the words.
To Apak Shakur, tepid endorsement, tepid, because
very late in the day,
very late and very softly. Like, it was just like, you know what I mean? So it was just like you know what I mean? And so we got to talk about them too. There's a whole list of them. There's a whole list of them. They got to go. It's not just Cuomo, right? Richie Torres got to go. Apak Shakur, Chuck Schumer got to go. I'm sorry. Like, this is where we're at. This is the new Democratic Party, the one that's been suppressed for far too long, right? And heads have to roll. And again, everybody, and again, you're right. We're not taking, everybody got to get on board. But what I'm saying is, I'm not trying to cut down Zohran now, right? This is the leader of the party in New York City, right? But everybody else got to fall in line. Everyone got to do the people's will, and then there can't be the billionaires no more. There's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Mamdani. You know what I'm saying? And we doing it differently, right? And again, like, I think this election proved a lot of things, right? Because even though Barack didn't endorse, even though Chuck Schumer didn't endorse, even though Apak Shakur gave a endorsement, it didn't.
And even though the billionaires spent hundreds of millions of dollars against it,
Bloomberg put $3 million himself. These people put so much money. So I'm saying this is a game changer. This is a mandate. Right, so let's rock with that mandate together. Let's work to a new New York, right? And we're all gonna hold all our feet to the fire. This is all our battle.
Well, I'm happy that it happened here in New York City, because it's a huge population, but it is just one city. So, you know, I think it's a great place to start and to make sure and to be the proof of the pudding. You know what I mean? I think it's obviously, you know, like you say, everybody here in the city is going to have to, you know, it's just going to have to be that way it is. They're just going to have to fall in line, because there's going to be a transition, and his people are going to be in the offices there where he wants them to be, and they're going to be democratic socialists. Led, I think now it's time to take a short pause so that we can pay some of the bills. We are lucky to have a great sponsor, 181 Cabrini. It's our neighborhood bistro. Both Led and I are just steps away from 181 Cabrini, and we love it. 181 Cabrini is located right there on that corner of 181 and Cabrini, just steps away.
181 and Cabrini.
Just steps away from the bridge. So, I love it. Led, you and I were there the other night.
Yeah, and we also met there for the first time. You and I, the first time we met, we had like lunch there, and it's my local bar now. Like since I live, you and I both live like right around. This is my local bar. I spend a lot of time there. James Lee, the owner, is just an incredible restaurateur. Right, I think he's a great guy. He's super funny, but like the food is on point. So please hit up 181 Cabrini. It is really one of my favorite spots. 181 Cabrini, pull up. That's my spot. Show them love and tip well.
There is one thing that irked me about the election, and it has nothing to do directly with Mamdani. It was the ballots on the back, the proposals.
It's misleading. Yeah.
One of them was, and you know, everybody, I'm down to debate this because I'm no, you know, expert necessarily, but there was one of the ballot proposals took away the power that our city council has when approving new construction. And it worries me when that happens because, I mean, in this instance, I guess, like, okay, Mamdani, like, seems to be the guy who has community in mind. So, you know, he's probably going to like make sure that whatever construction gets put up, you know, falls under like certain parameters where, you know, there's like maybe a community center or something like that. But that generally fell under the city council. And now that's being taken away. And let's say, you know, 4 years from now, something happens and it's no longer a Mamdani type of person, but it's a more Trumpy type of person. I'm just putting it out like as a possibility. Now that stopgap is gone, and it worries me when we do that. So I don't know, like that to me was a little bit. It was a lot. It was hard for people to understand, and you know, it also comes at a time where like the city needs lots of housing, but you know, unfortunately, a lot of times the developments that are needed happen mostly in the communities that can least protect themselves, the most vulnerable communities, and it's not like evenly distributed across the city. And so, you know, it kind of worries me that you know, when these sort of like protections get taken away, people can debate it. You know, they can debate it whether or not you need it to be you need to have like, you know, one voice say yay or nay, and that's the mayor, or if it's important for the community boards to have a voice and have a power.
I would say this, right, that's a double-edged sword as well, right? Because what happened in the past was that the council member for that district would decide, and then the rest of the council would just fall in line, right? So very concretely, what you see happening right now in Inwood, right? That was signed off by Idanis Rodriguez, right? And that's the wholesale, complete change. You know, people that haven't come uptown and you get off right there on Fordham Road and you come over, you're like, what is this? I don't know this place, right? So
we drove by it. Yeah, we drove by it on the way to Connecticut. It was
it's
right. Massive.
It's massive, right? And it's exactly the kind of gentrification that seems a bit much, right? It's overdone. But again, that was done under the old system, with Idani's basically giving the neighborhood away, right? So
yeah,
it's like,
I mean, but there's going to be that People's Theater in there, and that's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Those are kind of the things that those developers.
But that's not even the point. What I'm saying is
wouldn't be forced to do that.
But what I'm saying, but that's not the point. The point is that under the old system, it happened, right? So when the council member was corrupt, and he gave it to the real estate, like really, like that's what happened. He went with with his pockets.
Yeah, but I guess development is going to happen. You're going to have development. And what's going to happen is you're just going to have buildings with no community, like nothing, not a health center, not a rec center, not a school, not a grocery store. A lot of the new developments that we've seen uptown, I grant you, are probably too big, but there's also been carve-outs for community
Very
resources.
Very few. It's not enough. Like that one particular, I'm really happy. I love the People's Theater Project. I'm excited about that theater, but there's not enough of that. You know what I mean? There's not enough affordable in there. Like, and what's affordable is not really affordable. You know what I mean? Like, so
There's that.
what I'm saying is
There
that, like,
that.
that yes, this may not, I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm just saying the other system wasn't perfect either, right? And basically
right.
it gave Adonis the pen to just sign away a good chunk of that. Yes, there's some benefits to it. Yes, there's some things that good that came out of it, but it's a different neighborhood now. It looks like it's being set up for other people.
Yeah, but you know what I guess where I'm coming from in this debate is that the change is happening at a time when people are getting activated, where I can foresee that the community board meetings are going to be much more better attended going forward than they have been ever in the past. And at this time where people are going to get activated, they're going to go to their board meetings on a land use issue, and it's going to be like, not our choice. It's going to be up to the mayor. So it just dilutes the power that the people have fought so hard to win. And so I was disappointed when that got taken away, because now is like the time where you want to give like people more power at the
but it wasn't the
very
community
grassroots.
But it wasn't the community board that had to say. It was the council member. It was it was Idanis who picked it.
Yeah, but if the council member is at if the council member is at a meeting that's full of people that are fighting,
he was. I guess it was not for sale. Was fighting hard.
Yeah,
and he decided to do what he wanted to do. You know what I mean? So I think that what I'm saying is not that this is perfect or is better or worse. I'm saying that the system prior to it wasn't perfect either, because the council member could decide what to do, and if the council member,
you're right. Actually, you're on point with the Inwood Not for Sale. That was a
they were
muscular.
About it. They were about it, and
muscular.
Yeah, exactly. They were really about it. They really fought that good fight. They were on Dykeman on the street, right? Like, it wasn't they didn't fight. It was that he had too much power.
Fought hard.
He had too much power.
Yeah,
and
or maybe he just didn't care what they were saying, or he was being pressured. I don't know what happened. I mean, I don't want to accuse anybody of something that did or didn't happen. I know that ultimately Inwood is Not for Sale lost and the buildings went up, but I guess like in all these things, especially like also when you're talking about Obama and you're laying a lot at his feet, and I get it. I understand it. I just think that there was history is long, but our American history is still being written. And when we talk about what's happened up till now, I think you're right that, a lot of it has been, sad, because our national, sin or original sin of slavery is the way that this, country basically was formed. And it's basically us trying to chisel away at that history from our culture, from our society, to reinvent America to be something that we want it to be. And I think that the hundreds of years that we've been a place where you wouldn't ever want to be a black person, where we've had literally, people owned slaves. We still have many, many more years ahead of us before that can be remedied.
Yeah,
honestly.
but why do we have to coat things because of Obama? Like, I don't understand that.
No,
like,
I'm not sugarcoating
I think if we're what I'm saying is that, like, you're saying I'm being too hard on Obama. It's merited. Right? It's merited. Like, we were fooled. Like, Michelle Obama kikiing with George Bush. I thought George Bush was a war criminal. Right? What's going on? What I'm saying is, I love the Obamas and Obama so much. That's why I'm so deeply disappointed. And I'm not willing anymore to just play fake games. Like, no, I don't care about any of those things, because there's things he could have done and he didn't. And he still doesn't do. He still didn't endorse Mamdani, right? He didn't get on because he's part of the machine. And we have to be the machine is part of the problem. Like, when you look at what the machine has become, let's just be honest, right? And let's talk about things. The problem, I think, is that we always want to sugarcoat ourselves into, right? So Dick Cheney is not the horrible person that he was. He was really, really a bad, horrible human being. And he killed so millions of Middle Eastern people. Lives were affected because this monster was making money with Halliburton hand over fist. He was not a good person. He was horrible, but he was campaigning with Kamala Harris, right? And Kamala Harris put a heartfelt tribute to Dick Cheney, Darth Vader. Like, what are we talking about, right? And I'm saying, like, Barack Obama unleashed, he deported more people than anybody else thus far, right? He gave us Holman, right? I mean, ICE, he gave more money to ICE. I guess so what I'm saying is we need to stop playing these games. Biden was up. Kamala's up. Hillary's up too. And what I'm saying is those parties have merged. There's like the Republican and Democratic Party, just like one party, right? And then there's MAGA over here. But what I'm saying is, like, we're not looking at like Obama's fault, right? He was president for 8 years, right? And some symbolism only could go so far. I love Barack Obama, but when you look back at the deception, right? Like, go put Obama Flint, right? And then he went to Flint, Michigan, right? Where these black people were just being just straight up led in their water like some medieval right? And he went there and took a glass of water like I'm doing and drank it. It's all good, people, right? So he took that Obama mystique and he used it for the wrong thing. And we're gonna like sugarcoat it like he's not part of the problem too. I'm not willing to do that no more. Not Cory Hooker, not any of these people, not any of them. Like, I'm done with all of them. And Mamdani is a new way of doing things. And if you want to be down with this new party, you can't be part. You can't take AIPAC money. No more AIPAC money for politicians in the Democratic Party. That gotta go. I don't want to hear anything from anybody, no other country but America. That's it, right? And we have to lay down the law. Schumer gotta go. Schumer, next election, he gotta go. We need new blood in there. I think he's like 106. He gotta go. All of them. Obama did not endorse. He did not endorse. He's endorsed other races. He did not endorse. But he called them and said, hey, I could be an advisor if you like. That's some funny
shit. Sounding board.
That's some funny shit. But why don't you
right.
endorse me?
I mean, you're right. You're right that I God, like when you put things in that perspective, it's hard to argue against because the whole war in the Middle East was created and concocted on false premises, and millions of people have died. And the drone, I mean, I think Obama was one of the highest user of drone strikes ever. I mean, we're getting upset at Trump for blowing up ships in the ocean, and that's awful, but many families who were innocent also got caught up in really scary drone strikes where people didn't know when something might come out of the sky to destroy them, and they had nothing to do with anything. So yeah, I see what you're saying 100%. I do. I see where you're coming from when you put a lot of the blame on the politicians who we've had, and how you say that this is a new era of politics. And I hope that you're correct, because politics is politics, though. And politics always makes strange bedfellows. And you always are going to have, like, politics is about, it's not what we've seen it be in the last 10 years, where it's just like my way or the highway. Politics is supposed to be about debate, conciliation, somebody, making their best argument for what they need, somebody else coming back with their best argument for what they need, and finding a middle ground, right? So politics generally is about finding the middle ground. And in politics, if you're doing it right, they say, you're never going to make everybody happy. There's always going to be people who are going to be angry. So I don't know if it's just like my way or the highway. I don't know that that's politics. I don't know if that's like the right way. I don't think so. I think that the right way is for us to try to keep talking to each other and keep hearing each other. It's not happening, but at the same time, it's got to happen. And I think that we're going to see stuff that is going to be like, wait, why are you talking to that person, or why are you making that decision? And it's going to be political. And it's just the way that politics is. But you're right. And I think with the 100,000 people that were part of the Mamdani campaign, it's going to be more difficult to, drift too far, like the way that, you know, Obama did. Because, I mean, at the same time, Obama didn't have an easy way, an easy road. I mean, everything that his opponents were doing was to bring him down. He was like really up against a really difficult opponent that wasn't trying to have any kind of conversation and didn't care if the country, went bankrupt, or if or whatever happened, because they wanted to get their way. So, yeah, it's unfortunate that our imperfect democracy isn't better, but and I'm happy that in New York City we've seen this like really like amazing individual sort of emerge. I mean, he was at 1% when he first started campaigning. 1%. Nobody wanted to talk to him. Nobody cared about it. I remember I have a friend who is involved has been involved in the Democratic Socialist movement for a while. And I remember he was talking about it. And in the back of my head, I was like, I mean, I don't know if I was actually maybe thinking this, but I think I was. I was like, good luck with that. You know, like I was like, good luck with that. But guess what? That's what people wanted. He was speaking the language. And I think I came around sooner rather than later, because I saw from Mamdani the seriousness of his message and the intellect that he possesses. So it wasn't like a crazy Curtis Sliwa type of person who's, easy to dismiss because, sorry, Curtis, I mean, you're not a smart person.
Don't say sorry to
You're
Curtis.
You're not a smart person.
Yeah, Curtis. Don't say sorry to Curtis.
But but Mamdani is obviously very intelligent and charismatic, and must have excellent organizational skills to be able to build and then execute a campaign. Like people that were saying that he's got no experience, I'm like, I don't know. This is a pretty like serious machine that's going on over here.
Yeah, he posted a video on social. I think it was today, and it was showing like last year around this time. After Trump won, he went to Fordham and interviewed people, and he couldn't get very few people to talk to him. The people that did talk to him, they told him why most of them voted for Trump, and they explained why. And then look at him now, right? Like he built this amazing machine. But again, I think he's a once in a lifetime kind of generational politician. He's a communicator par excellence. Like that dude, he just knows how to communicate. He knows how to stay on message. He knows not to go, like he knows when he has to Kendrick Cuomo. He knew how to do that. Like he knows how to go negative, like, but pointedly, but it's mostly a positive message that's it's uplifting, and it's about what we can do together. So I really do feel like that we're in a special place. But again, we also have to be realistic. And I understand, what Obama, the headwinds he faced as the first Black president. And again, but when you look back at his reign, in hindsight, in retrospect, you see there was a lot that he didn't do, a lot that he could have done different, a lot where he really just was shilling for the machine, right? And he put the machine's interest over the people's interest, and I think that's apparent now. And again, he was he was never going to take, I think, the radical changes that we need. And when he had the opportunity to do that during the financial crisis, right? Like there was an action time, and the actions he took were for the people that got us into the problems, right? And that's all I'm saying. That like the Democratic leadership cannot no longer remain the leadership, right?
Yeah.
The base is not the problem; it's the leadership.
Yeah, I mean, it's two things, because I always, whenever you bring up the '08 thing, I can't let it go because, like, I mean, we were looking to, America needed a bailout, and who bailed us out? It was Chase. It was Jamie Dimon. He bailed us out, and he's not going to bail us out without being like, yeah, my friends, you can't touch them. So, I mean,
I mean,
it's
I don't even think that's not what happened. Like, that's not what happened.
he
But
paid, he
yeah,
put a
but why? Like,
billions
Goldman Sachs had all this funny ass debt, right? And they didn't want Goldman Sachs to go under because AIG would, and all these, it would have been like a
yeah.
cascading thing, right? So I mean, like,
Yeah.
you know, what I'm saying
That's
is to you,
exactly it.
but I'm saying we were fleeced by Obama and them, right? They were fleeced.
Yeah.
And again, you didn't bail out. You didn't bail out the regular person, right? The people that got to the problem were put into power again, and they just made it worse.
You know who's actually to blame for all of this? And frankly, it's Bill Clinton, because Bill Clinton wrote the law that made it so easy for the banks to make these terrible loans. And it was all coming from, to your point of like sugarcoating stuff, it all seemed to be coming from like best intentions. It's like, we want everybody to have the American dream.
No, but I agree with you.
The bankers,
the Clintons, right, basically sold out labor and working people and black people, right, with that bill. They did it. They're the ones responsible. But let me ask you a question: who was Barack Obama's Secretary of State? Hillary Clinton, right? And she toppled the government in Honduras. She did the same thing in Libya, right? So not that I love Muammar Gaddafi or whatever, but you could buy slaves in Libya now, right? That was under Hillary and Obama. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, yes, the Clintons were horrible. The Clintons are the ones that set this party on this current trajectory. Yes, but Biden was part of that machine, and he was vice president under Obama, and Hillary Clinton had a prominent position. Right?
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, as bad as the Trump first president was bad, a Hillary presidency was not going to be good either. It might have been in some ways less oppressive at home, but she was a war hawk. She wanted the wars with Iran. She has her masters too. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't need people with foreign masters. And Obama had a foreign master. So does everyone else. So I'm saying we need to really be about us. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about.
No, I agree. And I will agree with you 1,000% in terms of my disappointment. Because I remember when he got elected, I went out into the street and I was partying with my neighbors. You know, everybody was on the street when he got elected. Up in Inwood, everybody was running around the block and all that stuff. I was elated. I was very happy. I thought it was a turning point, you know. And yes, to what you're saying, but I do believe that. So I believe that you have very strong points and really good, and they're true what you're saying. I also think that he had a lot against him. We've already touched on that. What I'm much more disappointed in him is now you're not in power. You're a private citizen. Where are you? Where are you, man? Like, why aren't you more forceful, more vigorous, more vocal? Where are you, Obama? Where are you? I just, to me, that's the most disappointing thing, is that he seems to have said, you know what, that was really hard, what I did, and I'm done. I'm done with it. And I don't know, like, a part of me gets it, like, yeah, I get it. But you did inspire a lot of people. You did use beautiful language to make us really happy. You know, you really made us think that this country was like awesome and that you really cared. And then now what? Where are you? Like, what's going on? That's where I fall in terms of my disappointment with Barack Obama. I love Barack Obama, my vision of what he could have been, and I'm so upset that he's not more vocal about the changes that need to happen in this country. And the fact that he didn't endorse Mamdani, I think, is
crazy. It's insane. It's just disgusting.
Super sad.
It's disgusting.
Super sad.
But again, this is to everyone's detriment. Like, we're moving forward. Again, I just think we need to stop with, like, always like the rose-colored like glasses, always trying to look at things. But he's so nice, but they like him. Like, no, like, we need to, like, we don't need any more of that. We don't need Cuomo's. We don't need any of these these people, like the leadership has failed us, and we need to look at squarely. And if you want to be a leader in this party, you got to listen to the dictates of the people. We're going to set the agendas from now on, not them, because they've been failing us. And again, is when you look at, a lot of the propaganda against against the left that these Latinos are buying into. A lot of it is because it's real, because Biden did suck, right? Biden did suck. Biden paved the way for Trump. Biden didn't do the things he needed to do, and the things that he did were really stupid, like the bear hug approach with Netanyahu. Right, Netanyahu, this is his genocide again, right? So it's like, the people that got us into this, all of them, because I want to like Barack too, but he's part of that clique, and I'm not down with that clique no more. You know what I mean? And we in a new movement, and again, it's different, and we need to act like it. And you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. Don't endorse, but we see you, we see everyone.
Yo. Changing topics. Did you see Zohran at the Knicks game?
Yeah, that was really cool. That was really cool.
Was he with Deus or Mero or which?
Yeah, I think we were with Mero, with Kid Mero.
Yeah, Mero. Yeah, Mero. And he was like, Knicks play tonight. They're starting.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're playing now. They're playing now, I think.
Yeah, for real.
Timberwolves.
And then almost before we go, I got to say a shout out to, this is the Stay Frosty event. This is the t-shirt for Stay Frosty. Shout out to my brother Tom Sanford, who goes by Uber Kunst on Instagram. He's a dope local artist, and they had Stay Frosty happen February 24th, I think, to the 26th that weekend.
Yeah. Did you went to that?
I got to go.
I wasn't able to make it.
I got kind of went by myself. It was on 128th. Between Amsterdam and Convent. It's funny because I had never been to that particular block because it's like kind of a dead end. So you go in there, it looks a little like, it's just like, it's one of these like dead end blocks where like Verizon has stuff. There's nothing really there. And then the cars are dead and the cars can't go to Convent from there. But at the last lot, it was almost like a mini Art Basel. Right, it was all this really cool artwork. You could go to the Uptown Collective Instagram.
Was it all his, or was it?
No. Everyone had their own little station, and most of it was, for whatever reason, most of it was like vehicle based, if that makes sense.
Like what? Like cars?
So there was like a van, and you could go into the van, and it had like artwork in it. There was basically a classic car coupe made out of plastic bottles. Right, it was just like really cool. Really,
we gotta have him on.
Yeah, we gotta have Tom on. He's really cool. That event was really cool. I don't think he organized it; he just participated. But it was a really, really dope event happening uptown, like in the middle of Harlem, like on a weekend, like, and it was just so cool. That free burgers. Tom gave me a beer. We had a beer talk with him. It was great, man. So
nice.
Shout out to those people.
And he created art for the Knicks too. He's on. There's a commercial. There's a commercial during on MSG, and I was watching it, and all of a sudden I saw Tom. I was like, oh shit!
Tom is the man.
Tom Sanford.
Tom is the man. Like he does a crazy lot. I got some of his Knicks t-shirts. I love his work. You know what I mean? So he's a great artist. We definitely gotta have him on. Because it's Knicks all day. We're Knicks season has begun, so we about the Knicks now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they had a tough road trip. Hopefully now that they're at home, it's going to be the longest stretch of home games for the Knicks in history.
Wow,
I think it's 7 games.
That's dope.
At the Garden. So they just destroyed not the Bulls. They split the Bulls, but
they split the Bulls. Yeah.
They the Washington Wizards. When I grew up, they were the Bullets,
right? But
now they're the Wizards. So I always almost say Bullets, but then it's actually Wizards. But they killed them. It's the Wizard. Yeah, they killed them, and I think today's the Timberwolves. So
that's a good game. So let's watch that game.
That's Randall. That's Randall.
Yeah.
That's Randall.
So with that said, let's get off this and watch the game. Everybody, thank you so much. Spread love is the Uptown way. Uptown Voices. Black and Blanco.
Subscribe. Come on.
Stop playing. Don't play yourself. All right, y'all. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us in this episode of Uptown Voices, brought to you by 181 Cabrini, your neighborhood bistro just steps away from the North Walk of the George Washington Bridge. Use the code Uptown Voices Season 1 for your discount. And to stay up to date on the latest in Uptown, you can follow Uptown Collective on Instagram, Facebook, and X. If you're watching Uptown Voices on YouTube, don't forget to smash the subscribe button and to give us a like. And don't forget, we also need financial contributions from listeners like you to produce, improve, and expand our content. To contribute, please scan the QR code on the screen. Until next time, this has been Uptown Voices.